Natumai kwamba uko salama, umeamka vizuri and you are ready to tackle your day. It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to have you this morning. As usual, I request that when you join in, please like when you like, we get to know that you're watching us. And not only please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to broadcast. This is the General Bitok and this is the tackle. And it begins right now. Lakini kama kawaida, lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe, alafu basi tukirudi tunakuja kuwapa salamu zenu. Kijana Bishop, imekuwa muda kidogo sijui utatuombea pia, na kama kijana ambaye kunani? Nini? Oh, mafoni yake. Okay. Kijana Bishop, yuko siku nyingi kidogo.
Yes, it has been a while. It is good to be here and to be in a brand new studio.
Yeah.
Hii ndio Steve anasema iko fresh barida.
Fresh barida.
I'm telling you. Let's play.
Tulikuwa tunangoja ukuje uleta anointing oil. Lakini najua sasa wakati wa kisiasa sasa hivi kama umeacha namba ya Bishop unafanya siasa.
Mimi babangu anawaangalia wakienda kanisa, wakitoka hapa nje wananikuta. And I tell them about the politics of the day. So shall we pray? Father God, we want to thank you. We want to appreciate you. We want to honor you. Thank you for availing this opportunity for us to come and discuss matters of national importance. We pray that you may guide us and we shall be careful to give you glory as we come to the conclusion of the program. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is Siasa Wednesday edition of the 8th of June 2022. Tarehe 8 mwezi wa 6 mwaka 2022. Siasa Wednesday edition, na tuko na engineer Ochoti pia anataka kuwa senator Nairobi County. Wanzo senator Nairobi County atatuambia ni agenda gani ambayo nayo. Senator under the KANU ticket and by extent or extensively by extension Azimio coalition. Atatuambia ni agenda gani ambayo nayo. Salimia wananchi baba.
Mjambo wananchi. Watukufu wa Kenya na Nairobi especially. Ninaitwa John Ochoti. Na wania kuwa senator wa Nairobi. The third senator of the good city Nairobi.
Okay. Umesema especially watu wa Nairobi, wale wengine waokote salamu kaunti zao.
No, nimesalimia nchi nzima, but especially Nairobians. Yeah, but the senator, as a senator for Nairobi, essentially we are in the capital city.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, even by extension we can even say East Africa, because Nairobi is the capital.
It's an East African hub.
It's a regional hub, yes.
Okay. All right. When you join, please like when you like, we get to know that you're watching us, and totally please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. Wacha tuende masokoni kidogo. Nataka kukumbusha tu kwamba Optiven inawapa property safi zaidi. Unaweza pale kwenye screen, unaweza pata property safi zaidi kwa Optiven. Malindi, tuko Malindi Breeze are only 499,000. Malindi Breeze 499,000 only. Katika Optiven unaweza pia fanya malipo ya mdogo. Properties zinakuja kwa jeshwari zaidi pale Optiven, and ensure that we give you the best deals for your best money. Hakikisha kwamba pale ukienda pale Optiven, ambiana tumekutuma, halafu basi unaweza pewa discount safi zaidi, na unaweza kupewa extension ama payment plan nzuri zaidi. Kwa hivyo unahakikisha kwamba unakimbia pale Optiven na piga simu kwenye nambari ambayo unaiona pale kwenye screen 0790 300. Ukisema tumekutuma, basi wanakupa flexible payment terms ya hadi miezi 6 or up to 6 months. We have several properties pale Kajiado pia. Kuna ile ambayo Garden of Love. Na pale Kajiado inaitwa Love Gardens pale Kajiado Township. Ukienda pale Kitengela pia tuko na Victory Gardens ambayo pia inakuja kwa bei nafuu zaidi. Ukienda pale Laikipia ama Nanyuki unapata properties kwa bei tu ya 349,000 pale Nanyuki unapata property service zaidi. Ukienda pale Malindi Breeze ni shilingi 499,000 only. Unaweza pata property yako. Kimbia pale, mapiga simu pale Optiven, haraka upesi, bure utapata mwana si wako. You need to make that call right now. Useme Gerald Bitok amekutuma. If you use the code Gerald Bitok, unaweza kupata discount na pia unapata flexible payment terms of up to 6 months. Can you imagine that? 6 months. When it comes to property, I always say this, that you can never buy tomorrow. Tomorrow will be too late. Usiponunua leo, basi kesho itakuwa umechelewa kidogo. So make that investment today, invest at Optiven, and we give very flexible, beautiful terms at Optiven Limited. So piga simu nambari ambayo unaona kwenye screen leo 0790-300-300. Tuseme tumekutuma, unaweza kupea service kwa njia ya rahisi zaidi. If you also wish to advertise with us as usual, tutumie inbox pale, ama tuandikie email, ama tupigie simu kwa nambari 0779-800-010. Pia tuweze kuangalia mambo yako kwa njia ya rahisi zaidi. Kwa hivyo nakumbusha Nanyuki tuko na Great Oasis, the Great Oasis at only 349,000. Na pale Malindi tuko na Malindi Breeze at 499,000 only. Pale Kajiado pia tuko na Love Gardens. Kitengela tuko na Victory Gardens mpaka phase 3. Fika mpaka phase 3. Na kuna barabara mpaka napita hapo kana kwa shwari. I mean, you always go to Nanyuki to go for road trips, kwenda holiday. Can you imagine if you have a home there? And every time you're taking that beautiful road trip, you're going home. Unaenda nyumbani. That can only happen at Optiven. Optiven, inspiring possibilities. Haya, narudi pale kwenye siasa ndani yake hapa. Tunaingia, naona kuna ngona ameamka hapa tayari. Please, when you like, we get to know that you're watching us, and please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to wear the broadcast. Tafadhali pia niambie unatazama kutoka wapi. Let me know where you're watching us from. Please, when you get in as usual, let us know where you are watching us from. Tumekuwa na mambo ambayo kimeubana pale. Siasa kidogo imechacha, mambo ya mitumba. Nguo bwana, mitumba imeleta shida. Baba alifanya makosa juzi akasema sijui atafanyaje mitumba. Ochoti anatuambia vizuri what he meant, kwa sababu yeye ndio kana manifesto ya Azimio. Lakini kumekuwa na shida. Mpaka Muchendu pia leo amekuja na mitumba yake ya pakrenji.
Unajua mtoto leo hata kama sijawahi kuja na mtumba hapa, leo nimesema nikuja na yangu, because I am by the way, let me tell you, to humor people, I wear designer shirts, including the one I am wearing. It's only that this one, the correction point is Gikomba. Yes.
Like a designer.
Yeah, designer shirt, but correction Gikomba. You know, what baffles me is, I've had an opportunity to go to the export processing zone here in Kenya, where they do some awesome suits. I know even the person who sells you suit, he has brand Kenya, where he is able to get those suits for export. And I would have expected the Honorable Raila Odinga, as he criticized the Mutumba business and offered solutions to actually have new clothes made in Kenya, he would have adorned himself with a Kenyan product. Unfortunately, for those who have taste of suits, the Honorable Raila Odinga was wearing an Italian canary suit, one of the most costly suits, and one of the most known and respected designer suits from Italy. So this guy cannot even wear a suit from EPZ here in Kenya, where they are exporting suits all over the world. He would prefer to wear a Robbie Canary suit from Italy.
Lakini anavanga kitenge na nduki yake.
No, relax. Ngoja kwanza. Tunaongea mambo ya suit. Unajua, it could be something else if that suit is not produced here in the country. I would have expected that he would have gotten a tailor from Kibra, where he was the MP for 25 years, to do a suit for him, so that as he addressed the issue of Mtumba aka Guo za Maiti, he could have adorned himself in a Kenyan product. I mean,
Governor, surely, we have to be fair.
It is surely an insult to us Kenyans. You come here to tell us that we are wearing Maiti clothes, and you are adorned in a Robbie Canary suit from Italy, instead of wearing Kenyan product. You know, I come here and I criticize His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta every day. But there's something you can never take away from him. His shirts, unajua ile Livertex, they are Kenyan locally produced shirts. The Honorable William Ruto, every day he is adored on a Kenyan made shirt. Lakini you have a Raila Odinga, and I cannot stress enough how much a Robbie Canary suit costs in this setting. And you are here criticizing us that you are going to create companies that will do Kenyan product, why can't you wear the already existing Kenyan product as you address the issue? It is an insult to that someone who can only afford a mtumba. When you come on the microphone and tell him that Izogua Naval is a mighty, and you are wearing a Robi Canary suit that will cost up to 100,000 shillings, and you cannot even fight him to wear Kenyan products. So I think for me, number one, I would fought the person who actually gave Raila Odinga that script. It was not done in good faith. They should have known that, as I keep telling you, when we come here, when we speak about land matters, they are very emotional. Yes. They spark a lot of bad memories. The Mutumba business, Gikomba has been banned over 100 times. This government has tried to increase tariff on import of second-hand clothes, and it has angered the Mutumba business people. So I think for me, Raila Odinga would, because I agree, I am not going to come here and demonize the issue of Kenyans wearing good clothes. Hakuna pahali pameandikwa that a certain Kenyan should wear a new clothes. Bitok should wear a suit that is a designer suit. In fact, you should apologize to the person who dresses you for calling such a good suit a mtumba. There is no way.
Ndio umesema mitumba ni designer.
Sikiza, ndio nimekuambia. Mbona wewe hujavaa mtumba?
Hii ni mtumba.
Hapana. It is not. Ona unajaribu kurudisha jina suti. The point I'm saying is, we would all love to make money and wear new clothes, because if I had an opportunity of even wearing new clothes when I am strolling around the house and the village, I will do it.
Unavaa suti kama vijana.
Yes, you stay smart. But then the reality of life is that this country is very far from achieving that goal. And if we are going to achieve it, it has to be gradually. Even the proposals by the Deputy President to have locally made products be talk. It should not mean that the Mutumba business is eliminated. Because when you have, my brother, someone living at $1, even if you make a cloth available to as low as $5, that person living at $1 a day may not afford that cloth. So I'm saying, as we address the issues of producing brand Kenya, we must also do it gradually in such a way it does not affect the person doing Mutumba. If Joroge, who is selling Mutumba in Gikomba, was to translate into selling suits, it has to be something gradual. Seamless. It has to be seamless. It's not something that negatively affects them. We have to fight somewhere. But you cannot go and, I'm remembering it is Raila Odinga at the home of SK Macharia in Murang'a. That he called Mama Mboga and Mukokoteni takataka. Do they have something against the poor in this country?
All right. Muchendu has rested this case. All right, let me look at it. Welcome to you, to Ochoti, as you try to absorb what Muchendu is saying. Lilian Nyambura anasema sawa, hiko ndani. Elari Mwachori, tuni asante sana. Manifestos. Good morning, good morning to you. Mbokinde Makufu. Ala, de Makufu. Aya, tuned in. Karoki wa Masi, good morning, Gerald. Check this out. Asante sana. Karoki wa Masi, umepoteza na watu wa Uyole. Asante John, Andiki wa Naina High Hall. Good morning to you, John Dege, David Kitur. Good morning, Gerald. And your team, asante sana. Haron Sang, good morning. Good morning to you, Haron. Wanjiku wa Mugeka, ndani ya mtambo. Asante sana Wanjiku. Good to see you. Ambassador Alfred Sajan, all the way from Bath, Australia. Anasema good morning from Bath. The new studio is fire. Asante sana ndugu yangu. Ulienda kama hujakuja hapa kupiga episode. Ungekuja kupiga episode moja hapa ya AKL. Mayana Lesa anasema amen. Asante Manifestos. Good morning. Msalimia huyu jamaa sana. Ni mtu wangu wa nguvu sana. Kazi safi General. Asante sana. Msalimiwa sana. MC Kali ya leo. Good morning to you. Chama Mnakusha Kettle Dip ambaye ameishi kuiba kura pale Mnakusha Kettle Dip. He's always been a chairman. All this time miaka anaiba kura kila saa. Collins Misoi CK, good morning. Nitataka good morning to MC Kali. Anasema kuna backlight ya kichwa mgeni. Hiyo ni televisheni. Haya. Shakespeare, good morning team Taklas. Kevin Jeroge, happy Valley Estate Kalogdina, asante sana. Charles Kangwana Media, asante sana kijana wangu Charles. Lucy Jessa, I'm watching from Colorado Springs, USA, asante sana. Sena wako Bitok, check the sound. Hiyo sound ya intro tulitoa kimakusudi kwa sababu ya copyright issues kidogo tunashughulikia. MC Kali anasema the older you grow, the lesser you care. Let me see, lazima nione. That is Baba for you. The older you grow, the lesser you care. That is Baba for you. Okay. Lucy Jessa, I've been lost for some time, but I'm back with the bang. Umepotea sana Lucy Jessa, tafadhali rudi. Na uko na faini yako lazima uilipie. Na Barwaneng James anasema Barwaneng James watching live from Barsombo Moibena. Asante sana watu wangu wa Moibena. Acheborge Arab Bruno has tuned in from Nairobi. Good morning to talk. Good morning to you. Davis Muchendu is on point regarding the mitumba issue. Kenneth Bano, good morning General Bitoko watching live from Moi University main campus. Keses Just Kangwana following live. Asante. Mwango Aweri, good morning. Salimia wageni. I don't know, what do you think about the mitumba issue? Nafikiraje kuhusu mambo ya mitumba? Mheshimiwa Engineer Ochoti.
Yes.
Ajue ni mtu anataka kuwa kiongozi.
Yes.
Kuongoza watu wa Nairobi aswa. Na Nairobi has a very interesting population of consumers who consume everything from iron to pallets. I don't know. Do you make sense of because now mitumba has become a national conversation overnight? What sense do you make of this suggestion or this conversation around clothing and mitumba?
It's very healthy that as a nation we are speaking to the mitumba.
Kwa unajua ulianza introduction kwanza, hukusema kwanza unataka kuwa senator ama unataka tena?
Ni sawa. So tutarudi hapo baadaye.
Ulifanya hiyo ndio umeanza nayo. Watu kwanza wajua wanasikia senator wao.
Sasa
kamera yako ndio ile pale.
Kwa jina mimi naitwa John Ochoti. Na wania kiti ya Senate Nairobi. Na naomba support ya watu wote wa Nairobi. Hata wale wa mashinani, mahali popote kama ni Lokichoge wapi, kiwa ni Kisii, Nakuru, at one point in time huwa tuna host hao watu wote katika jiji la Nairobi. So naomba support ya watu wa Nairobi. But straight to business. This mitumba discussion. We have to be honest as a nation. We have to choose. We cannot remain static forever, for decades. It's a good thing that now we are discussing manufacturing. Manufacturing is, as we all know, is the backbone of any economy. If you want to grow as a nation, you have to embrace manufacturing. And when you talk about manufacturing, there are the three basic needs of a human. That is clothing, food, and shelter. So inevitably, we have to discuss clothing. And predominantly, we have mitumba in this country. Now, within Baba's manifesto, he proposes that we address the issue of mitumba, we manufacture clothes locally, which I fully support 100%. As a very progressive, as a visionary kind of looking at things. Governor, kidogo nikukosoe. He's saying, Governor, you are saying that Raila was wearing a very expensive Italian suit. And we even quoted a brand, which I do not want to repeat here. So question is, how sure are you it is that brand? Like, did you go and, check? Are you sure? Can you confirm for sure you're speculating?
But you have tested.
No, it's all right. It's all right. But, you just saw it. Yeah, you just saw it on TV, maybe. Yeah, because I'm sure you are not close to Baba, on that day.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's fine, but you have taste. It could be that expensive suit, but Baba, it was his day, surely. So lazima angengara, and we all know Baba has taste. Yeah, so lazima angengara on his big day.
Those Kenyans we have mitumba have taste.
Yeah. Also, of course. Zile camera, zile mzuri.
Exactly.
Yeah, so even we all wear mitumba at some point, and it's not a bad thing. And even Baba, when proposing that we manufacture our own clothes, haimaanishi kwamba yeye avae mitumba. Then, interestingly, in your presentation, you ended up saying that it's not a bad thing, that we need to implement it gradually, so that there's no drastic, you said seamless, right? So then the discussion is not really about us, about mitumba going away, but how do we face it out?
Okay.
So you started by criticizing it very fiercely, but in the end you supported it, and then you said we need to face it out gradually.
I think I'm responsible to my statements.
Yes.
I did not actually.
Can we replay?
Yes, we can replay it if you wish to. I actually vehemently attacked the insinuation by Bamba. How you present it. You come, you know, the Baba was talking about eliminating mitumba and castigating it. I mean, you as a reader who wants to be elected tomorrow,
yes,
and as a reader who is seeking votes from 74% of Kenyans who adore themselves in mitumba Monday to Sunday, you must be very careful with your words. I mean, as I said, no Kenyans won't wish to go to Sahenli or to whatever and get clothes. They do this because they cannot afford a new clothes. They buy used shoes because they cannot afford new shoes. And then you come, 76% of Kenyans wearing those clothes, you demonize them. And you refer to them as Guos Amaiti. It's a let me tell you. I'll tell you.
I'm sure you went to a class of literature.
The reason I have. The problem I have with it. The mitumba business, the import mitumba business, it is for who in this country.
Okay.
That's the truth.
Now you are talking.
Now you are talking. For who and who is this country?
Now you are talking.
That notwithstanding, the question would be, have we enabled our society to afford new clothes? That they can, because the only way you will kill that mitumba business, it is when you empower Kenyans to get money.
Yes.
You know, this is it. And
yes,
I keep telling my brother here, you are telling us that you want to revive manufacturing, and I agree with you. In this country, if we want to reduce our debt burden,
we must get into manufacturing.
It is manufacturing that is going to lower it.
Exactly.
But the question here is, and I keep telling him, it is not the proposal. I said here about manifestos. Everybody will sit there and build and craft a new manifesto. Because if you call Bitok and you call other people who are of great minds, they can do for you an awesome manifesto. But the thing is have they come up with the roadmap of actually doing manifesto? Because you cannot tell me, Bitok, you want to phase out mitumba, and on the other side you are proposing to give cash transfer of 6,000. You cannot face mitumba if you are still feeding people with craps. Because 6,000, you cannot have your cake and eat
Governor. Also remember, as you're saying, you can even do a quick poll in this studio. How many items of mitumba is each one of us wearing? Yes. So you'll also realize that people are wearing new clothes as well. Yeah. So even no. Let's and we just picked a sample of this studio. A lot of Kenyans import clothes. Yeah. They may not be so many in their millions. Yeah. So they buy new clothes.
It is very
even in Isili.
Guys, one
in Isili, we have
you are defending.
We have
one person at a time. One person at a time.
This and for information, this one is not mitumba, but sometimes I wear mitumba. If you go down, I could be wearing some mitumba. Yes. Remember, even in Isili, a very big industry of new clothes in Isili. So what are you saying? What are you telling the people of Isili? The people who are deriving a livelihood from Isili. And these are clothes which are coming from outside. They are new. So there's nothing wrong in Baba really wanting us to manufacture those clothes. So then you rightly put it is to empower people to be able to afford.
I want to bring this conversation to perspective. And I want to ask you two questions.
Yes.
One, is it that there are no new clothes? Or is it that Kenyans cannot afford new clothes?
It's affordability. As governor,
do we have new clothes? I'll start with you, Senator.
Yes.
Do we have new clothes?
Yes, there are new clothes.
Why is that Kenyans are not wearing new clothes?
The issue is affordability. Kenyans are wearing new clothes. Yeah. So not everybody is wearing mitumba. We have to disabuse ourselves of that fact. You might be speaking on behalf of a majority who wear mitumba, and here governor here said 74%. Maybe okay. I have to go and check those statistics. But there are people wear new clothes. In Isili, for example, those malls which are there, they sell predominantly new clothes. Even some of them, sometimes their quality, you wonder. Yeah. So we have to look at manufacturing from a very, very broad perspective. Let us not be narrow. And when we talk about manufacturing, it does not mean we are going to close Gikomba. Gikomba is just a market. In that market, we can sell anything. You can even sell oranges in that market. Same applies. You can even sell new clothes there once they have been manufactured in this country. Just look at the value chain of having a new cloth at a stall in Gikomba. We have to enable farmers to produce the raw materials. Yeah, so that's farming. Farming as an industry receives a shot in the arm. Tumeongezea hapo farmers kidogo wapate mapato. Then after that you are taking to process it. Yeah, in factories. Yeah, and at the end, we have to transport these raw materials to the factories. And at the same time, now you transport them to the market. So that's a whole industry of transport that you have enabled. Then finally, the same traders who are selling the mitumba clothes, they can now sell those new clothes. Yeah, so let us be honest as Kenyans. Tumezoea sana when a topic comes, everybody becomes an expert and we are very loud. We don't really dissect to look at issues. Baba, for example, as a leader, any role of a leader is to be visionary, is to give a very clear vision where we could be even 50 years from now. That time, even Baba may not be there, or some of us could not be there. But then the vision still exists. As a country, we cannot keep wearing second-hand clothes till kingdom come. We have to fix this issue.
All right. Muchendu, ni nguo mpya iko ama hakuna? Ama shida ni hakuna nguo mpya ama shida ni iko nguo lakini
let me tell
where's the problem?
Let me tell you, it is not really about not having new clothes. It is about the priorities by government on what to do. I'll give you an example. An imported new fabric in Kenya is costing 135 shillings per meter. A locally produced garment in Kenya of the same quality is costing 248 shillings. You see the difference? The difference is that the cost of production in this country is over the edge. I keep telling you, and I once gave an example here when the billionaire Dangote, you remember Dangote came to this country and he wanted to set up a cement factory. And he could not set up a cement factory because of three things. One, the cost of power in this country. Number two, the taxes leveled in this country. He could not be able to do it. So what did Dangote do? Dangote moved his company to Ethiopia. Went and started almost immediately producing cement. That cement is in our shelves in this country today, Bitok. It is imported from Ethiopia to Kenya. It is still costing less than what Simba or Blue Triangle or other cements are costing. Why is Dangote in a position to import cement into this country and still end up, after paying those taxes, end up selling it on a cheaper rate than our country? And the quality is the same. The thing here we have, the problem here we have is that, number one, when government has realized that imported fabric are costing less, they impose a bigger margin of tax on those garments. Number two, this same government is not able to decrease the cost of production, and majorly it is in decreasing the cost of electricity tariffs in this country. I don't know whether you have ever gotten an opportunity to look at when you buy your prepaid tokens and look down at the tokens at the breakdown of the costs. One of the biggest cost in your token buying, it is something called fuel charge. Fuel charge. Why do you have fuel charge? Bitok. You are paying for fuel. There's someone who is getting his power today in this country because a generator is running somewhere. And that fuel cost is leveled down to the last Kenyan, even though your production is not from that generator. And that's why I keep saying, unless this country moves from, I'm an electrical engineer, so unless this country moves from something called a single grid to a microgrid, like a few months ago, you Kenyans would remember when this city was plugged into a 17 hours of darkness. Why was it plugged? It is because we depend on a single grid. That a certain station in Suswa somewhere, if it goes off, the entire Nairobi goes off power. But imagine if we had a single grid where power produced in Kidaruma comes to Nairobi, power produced in Suswa is sent to Naivasha and surrounding, power separate this power cost so that mwenye anatumia diesel alipe electricity in accordance with the cost of electricity where he is. Today, in the area where I come from, you have wind energy that has been proven to have commercial viability. Why can't government come and explore that commercial viability, produce power, and sell it locally to Limuru and its environment? That's such that if power in Kikuyu goes off, Limuru is still producing. So these are major some of the facts that are affecting production in this country and subsequently making the cost of things in this country to go very high. And therefore, if this government wants to address manufacturing, you have seen, it is Coast Oil that has closed down its doors. We have borrowed so much that our dollar reserve has gone down. Companies that can only make their profit by using foreign currency are closing down. And therefore, if we want to produce new clothes that are locally produced, we would need to. When I was a small boy, I can't remember the name of the company, but it used to produce very peculiar jeans. Zilikuwa zinaitwa Safco. You remember? And as a young man, yes, as a young man, your father was known to have money if you owned a pair of Safco.
Or Tokyo.
And yes,
there was Tokyo.
Yes, exactly, and Tokyo. And you have yourself a pair of shoes from Bata that were called North Stars. North Stars. These were locally produced products that we were so proud of in owning that you would save everything you have in high school.
Was Tokyo made in Kenya?
No, it was made in Kenya.
Really?
Yeah, it's just given a brand. Some of these things were export processing.
Butter bullets.
Yes, butter bullets were made in Kenya.
Of course, that one I know.
I will tell you, the biggest, most used school shoes, toffee, is a butter product.
Yes.
So I'm just saying.
Aren't you proud of that?
No. Let me tell you.
Kids.
It is not that Kenyans are not proud of local products.
Yes.
It is that they cannot afford today. A toffee shoe that I am fortunate enough to buy for my daughter is going for 2,000, 2,500. Yes. Another parent would see 2,500 as an opportunity to buy 5 used mitumba shoes, so that year she doesn't have to spend more money on shoes.
Now then the discussion
so
basically,
it is the production cost and that is what,
and affordability.
And yes, that is what either Ruto or either government would have to consider. Are you going to lower cost of production? Because if you lower cost of production, my brother, I will be able to make those muffin cakes and sell to you at 50 shillings, 6 pieces.
And that's exactly what Baba is planning to do.
No. I have not seen them.
Yeah, because you do a headline.
I say,
if you want,
let me tell you.
If you want to do like local manufacturing, are you having somebody on the line?
No.
Who wants to speak? When he says local manufacturing of clothes, then it does not have to come and give a total breakdown up to that person, even name them. This person, like it will be John, who will be in the factory to make these clothes. So he's looking at the efficiency of production of these clothes as well. I'm happy you're an engineer, like myself.
And you see,
and then now you have to look at...
I don't expect him to go to the nitty-gritty. But I would expect him to address the issue of power. I would expect him to address the issue of gas, but then how would he address gas and he's an interested party in the business?
Quickly moving forward.
All right.
So while we were busy, by the way, unajua ile kitu nimeshangaza. Yaani tumekaa hivi. Tumekaa tu hivi kama Wakenya. Tukaangalia Kenya, tukaangalia Wakenya 50 million. Tukaona ile shida wako naye peke yake ni mitumba. Sasa today morning every media station is discussing mitumba.
Yes.
We're going to have politicians who are going to Kigomba. They have what we calling Mutumba is bad. One of us they are going to.
And that's the tragedy we have as a nation.
I find it so interesting that our politicians sit somewhere, they have a discussion. They actually think about the problems that bedevil Kenyans. And they're like, okay, tumekaa tukaona ile shida kubwa ambao Wakenya wako naye ni mitumba. So tuanze kuongelea mitumba. Aya, while we are busy talking about mitumba, the MPs in parliament raised the debt ceiling to how much? Guess how much? 10 trillion. It's less than a year and a half ago. We raised it from 7 trillion to 9 trillion. So we've raised again now from 9 trillion to 10 trillion. Now, I wish to read some of the comments that were made by the Waheshimiwas yesterday in Parliament about the debt ceiling raising. And I don't know what you think as a Kenyan. What do you think about this debt ceiling that they keep raising? I don't know. And every politician who is campaigning right now is telling us they'll reduce debt borrowing. But again, they're raising the debt ceiling. So I don't know. Who do you believe? Let me some of the comments. Now, Honorable Jimmy Angwenye, alisema China in the last 30 years. China in the last 30 years has developed because of using money which is borrowed as developed. China in the last 30 years, because of using money which is borrowed as developed, to be the second largest economy in the world. And we want to be the highest economy in Africa. To do that, we need to borrow money. Invest. That is Honorable Jimmy Angwenye. Mheshimiwa Kimani Ichung'wah, today we are increasing our debt to shillings 10 trillion and we cannot earmark projects where this money will go into. Even the appropriation bills we will be discussing today, if you look at estimates that are there's nothing specific on what projects will be financed using public debt. That is Kimani Ichung'wah, Kikuyu MP. Kimani Ichung'wah, again, I beg to rise to oppose this motion. The issue of public debt is not something that we ought to be justifying to ourselves, to appease ourselves, because it's a burden we are laying on the shoulders of the Kenyan people. All right. Honorable Opio Wandai, debt per se is not a bad thing, and that has been elaborated at length. The most important thing is what do we use? What use do we put debt on? All right. Well, a few comments from your Waheshimiwas yesterday in Parliament, and they have managed finally to raise the debt ceiling from 9 trillion to 10 trillion. Progressively, in a couple of years, it was at 7 trillion. It was raised to 9 trillion. Now, from 9 trillion, it is at 10 trillion. I don't know. I think I could be right or I could be wrong. It was 7 trillion earlier. So, I don't know. What do you guys make of this? What do you make of this?
The question is not like how much. The question is the impact and the sustainability of the borrowing, and what use do you put the money into? Borrowing is not bad, but what is the consequence of that? In the recent past, we've seen borrowing costing us a lot in terms of we borrow money. Certain projects are supposed to be funded. But this money is stolen. I mean, we lose this money to corruption. So our concern should be, how do we use the money that we get? In Kenya today, we have even micro borrowers. If you look at the statistics of people at an individual level, why are people borrowing a lot? It is because of trying to catch up with life, which is very expensive. Granted, we have seen the government of Uhuru Kenyatta address the issue of infrastructure. Virtually everywhere you go in this country, you find it's a construction site. You know, they're doing infrastructure, they're doing roads, they're expanding a lot of infrastructure across the country. And all this money, we do not have it collected from taxes. So some of it is borrowed and it goes to good use. But then now, Mwananchi is asking, the roads are there. We have seen them. They are coming. We have the expressway. It looks so good. But then when you are riding on that expressway, are you umekula chakula? Like, ama you are hungry because you cannot afford food, or 2 meals in a day. So as a country, we have to pause and say, what do we need to do? Do we need a starving nation which is riding on a very glossy and very good roads? It's we have to sacrifice at some point. Like even you, even me, and anybody else. Mtu hata ukijenga ile nyumba yako, even the smallest house in the village, lazima uweke pesa pamoja. So kuna mahali itaumia. When you are doing that project ya kujenga nyumba yako mahali utaishi, kuna mahali itaumia kidogo. So that's what we are going through as a nation. So the question is not how far we raise the ceiling, it is how affordable is that, how sustainable that is within the economy, and when we borrow, hii pesa inatumika kufanya nini? But most importantly, watu wako na njaa sahi, watu hawana kazi, people cannot even afford, even hata hizi nguo tunasema discussion ya mtumba. Personally, it shouldn't be about clothing. I mean, hizo nguo ni gani unavaa? Do we have jobs? Yeah? Are we able to take our kids to school and pay their school fees?
Hiyo ndio swala nyeti.
Like ukiamka asubuhi umepata breakfast. Hata kama umekosa breakfast, can you have lunch? Hata ukikosa lunch, can you have dinner? Yeah, so these are the things that are paining a lot of Kenyans, and as leaders we should be focusing more on these issues.
Hatujapata breakfast mheshimiwa. Baada kitu. Muchendu umesalimiwa na chairman Joel Arama, chairman wa diaspora. Amesema salimia governor. Acha niangalie YouTube kidogo, pole nilikuwa nimesahau majangono yetu. Fredrick Juma anasema good morning Bitok, niko live from Nairobi at the office. Sana Ahmed Juma, mtu wa Embakasi naona umenyonga. Shadrack Kiprotich anasema my favorite guy P.Muchendu. Those ideas and facts are just the best. I logged in as always from Juja. Mr. Bitok, I sent you the sample of graphics we had talked about over WhatsApp 2 months ago. And tumia kaka over that. When we get Fredrick Juma Bitok, you guys are missing out the point on what Raila said. On reference to mitumba, he was referring to the textile industry, and now they can be revived. Okay. Fredrick Juma, but as usual, the opposite side saw mitumba and ran away with the narrative, and that is what they want us to discuss, forgetting that the DP Wadi Kamukunji touched on the same thing. Okay. With Juma, I agree with you, but the way he puts it made the difference. He rampaged the all good idea. He cannot recover it anymore. It is already a bad idea turned bad. Okay. San keeps on saying 2 billion mysteriously disappearing daily. Seriously. Those are Uru words, not mine. Why not see loopholes if indeed money disappear like that? It is sad. No explanation can justify why give room lazy government of Kenya. Okay, on Facebook, let me just go through the comments kidogo Muchendu alafu nikupe Borenga James watching live from Barsombe. Asante. Jeboge Ara Brunoi anasema good morning Takol, good morning to you. Dennis Kalmen, Muchendu is on point regarding mitumba issue. Okay. Kenneth Bano, good morning, Jarbi Talk, watching live from Moi University main campus cases. Just Kangwana, asante. Mwangi wa Weru, good morning. Salimia wageni, wamesalimika. Sena Samuel Bitok, salimia Bitok. Kevin, salimia Muchendu. Kevin Maro watching live from Switzerland. Watu wa Switzerland, asante sana. Kariki wa Masa was a Baba's Care. Allah, it's Baba Care, bro. Why are you saying Baba's Care? Good morning. Good morning from Seoul, South Korea. Politics zitaisha lini tuanze kudiscuss manifesto. Kama kweli iende bwana. Hii siasa hata mimi nimechoka bwana ishe. Just James Ngoya anasema makao Mutua Mizad vs Raila watching live from Eben. Sirgoit. Congratulations. Asante sana ndugu yangu. Jumatatu Muchendu should rise above cheap propaganda and put things in context. Okay. Ngatichi kinasema kimwete live from Kericho. Good work kiongozi. Asante. Mbaya Mwerudi Charles and tuned in as usual from Ruiru. Banning mitumba is like telling us to go naked. Good morning from Dallas. Good morning from Dallas. Ashok Teleko, mitumba is good. I buy those clothes in Kikomba. Asante sana. Kipto, good morning, Jarabi. Good morning to you, Doreen Chebet. Good morning. Tell us good morning, my brother. Lilian Kiambu. Anasema I'm wearing mitumba wood as I watch this. Amevaa sweta mitumba wood. Akivaa Chebleting Kogo. Good to see you. Unajibatiza kile kujibleting. You need to stick to one name, Vivian. Rosemary Kabuga said politicians talk about manufacturing without talking about policy, processing, licensing, taxation, and access to loans. Pani Oil, as we speak, have closed business temporarily. Recently, I saw cooking oil from Ukraine, Turkey, and Tanzania, which is good for competitive pricing. It's yes, they sell new clothes, but of very low quality. Okay. Sena waka nasema mimi nimevaa nguo mpya from Isli, as Senator said. Okay. Asante ni wa Kenya. Basi ndio nasema why do we only want to see mitumba as a problem to Kenya? Mitumba involving anything and everything are all over the world, not only clothes. Okay. Asbon Answer Wheeler. Good to see you. Asbon. But from the manifesto you create a work plan. This mitumba issue is one of those progressive agenda that will be implemented in phases. First, a policy framework to enable production, and the inawezekana first 5 agenda will create that productive manufacturing industry that will economically revolutionize Kenya, and folks will have money in their pockets. Mambo ya pesa mfukoni imefika. Then number 2, the next phase will focus on a policy framework that will enable production along a wide value chain as you institute policies that will make locally produced clothes and wares competitive. By the way, no one wants to be a mitumba consumer forever. Folks have aspirations, and an economic revolution envisioned by Azimio, folks will naturally aspire for better. Manufacturing will support that. Okay, hallelujah, Esbon. The problem is the government has left the country to be run by well-connected individuals for personal gains. But Master Gerald, nimevaa na nguo za maiti. Okay, MC Kala sema ambia mheshimiwa avumilie angoje time yake. Okay. Amos Bugwa tuned from the city of Nottingham, UK. Asante sana. James Mutinda, good morning, watching from Likoni, Mombasa. Asante sana watu wa Likoni, Mombasa, na wasalimia. The problem is food security, no jobs, poor economy, not mitumba clothes. Okay. Davis Kelman, I think the issue is disrespect of the poor. Statements like takataka, nguo za maiti, etc. confirm this. To believe that the concern is how to face out mitumba is not is not true. Why? Because you must first respect the traders and those that wear. If you don't respect them, then your statements are understood in light of Asla as a dynasty lenses. I.e., Baba wants to deny Asla as a source of earnings. If does not give a roadmap, then we only see contempt to poor Kenyans. Okay. Leonard Serem Sydney, we are logged in. Good morning. Good work, brother. Leonard Serem Amos Mbugwa. In every township in Europe, you'll find a mutumba shop, popularly known as charity shops. Okay. I don't know. But I think sometimes Baba za zingine anakuwa na idea mzuri sana. Lakini vile anaisemanga anachomanga za zingine. Mutumba alikuwa amesema vizuri. Sijui nani tena akamwambia sema story ya maiti.
But you see, Baba, all those ones who know Baba the way he speaks in public, ni mtu wengine anasema anapenda vitendawili, anapenda literature. Ile is literary, it's not taking ni literature hiyo, imagery. Yes, haimaanishi kwamba ni nguo ya maiti amevaa. No. Kwani sisi hapa Kenya hatuna students wa literature ama hatujui jokes.
Sasa wakati hawajui jokes bwana. Wamepigwa na maisha sasa wataka jokes.
To go back to the discussion
mambo ya deni ndugu yako. Tusonge mambo ya deni.
I've always said here and I repeat again, the problem is not being in debt. Okay. It is how we use the money we get when we borrow. How do we get to use that money? And I'll tell you, I have a very serious problem with how this government has chosen to spend the money. Do you know, when Kibaki was building Thika Road, a kilometer of the A train, Thika Road is an A train road. A kilometer of A train was costing about 600 million per kilometer of the A train. Now, come to fast forward to the government of the day. We borrow money, we want to do the Western Bypass. Western Bypass lands from Roaka all the way to Gitaru. It is 17.1 kilometers. It has costed Kenya shilling initially when apparently in quote the government did the quotation, it was going to cost 1 billion per kilometer, 17.1 billion. It ended up costing 22.1 billion Kenya shillings. If you consider inflation of the Kenya shillings, how the Kenya shillings is faring against the dollar between when Kibaki was the president and fast forward to when Western Bypass was being constructed, it is a total theft of public money that has been stolen. That a kilometer of a 4-lane road from Ruaka all the way to Gitaru is costing 22.1 billion. Even if the Kenya shillings had inflated that much from the time of Kibaki to then, there is a problem because the inflation rates that are always reported by CBK do not actually justify how they have spent the 22 billion shillings. Fast forward to Dongo Kudu. That is costing Kenyan taxpayer money 1 billion shillings per kilometer. You know, the problem is today, the James Geshoro Road from James Geshoro all the way to Limuru, pale panaitwa Rironi, it is costing almost $1 billion per kilometer, and it is an 8-lane road. And I said, I do not expect it to cost the same way it costed during Kibaki, but even when you calculate the inflation rate of the Kenya shillings, it does not add up. So therefore, this is the problem. We borrow money, we talk, and we misuse it. That is why this country is in the hole. Because I'll tell you, let nobody lie to you, including those in the deputy president's camp, that they will not borrow. We have extended today, the budget of 2022-2023 has a budget hole of 846 billion.
Deficit.
Yes, a deficit of 846 billion. We have today increased the debt ceiling to 10 trillion shillings. It subsequently means by 2024, we will have exhausted the debt ceiling of 10 trillion. Therefore, anybody willing to do business past 2024 has no other way of doing and bringing this country forward other than borrowing. So the problem is whether do we justify how we use the money we borrow. This is the problem, Bitok. I keep telling you, SGR was a good project implemented in the wrong way. Before SGR, the Kenya National Railway was the biggest landowner in this country. And therefore, they would have done what Ethiopian did, examine the profitability of the gauge railway, which was not even 1% of the GDP of this country. And subsequently, cross the railway for 2 years, uproot the gauge railway, and put up the standard gauge railway. And we will do 50%, over 50% of the money invested in the SGR project, Bitok, I keep telling you, it went into compensation. Was it worth it that we have a debt of the SGR and this government keeps denying that it attached the Mombasa port as part of the repayment if we fail to pay? Mombasa port has been attached as one of the things. Yes, as so this is not the problem, is not borrowing. Because if this country like China, they have said, has to come out of its third world signature, we will have to borrow money. But when we borrow that money, we would have to make sure that we are able to spend that money wisely. The other thing that is going to help, the reason today why, my brother, Kenyans do not see the value of having those roads that are being built, it is because they don't have money in the pocket. Why do Kenyans don't have money in the pocket? I will tell you. One of the things the president that comes in September needs to do, it is to stop government from borrowing from local banks. Local borrowing between government and banks must be stopped. Why? I will tell you. Bitok, and I am sure you started earning quite some few years back during Kibaki season. I remember my bank manager, if I had like 100,000 in the bank and I have not gone to withdraw anything in like 1 month, I would receive a call from the investment officer of the bank asking me to come, we discuss how they can give me a small loan because they see I have, my earning level is to a tune of 100,000 a month, and they will tell you, we want to give you 1 million shillings so that you can go and invest. Why? Kibaki stopped government from doing business with local banks, and the local banks were forced to create products that would suit the small person to stay in business. And therefore, if the government stops borrowing from local banks, the local banks would be required to go down there to the small mwananchi and create a product that befits that person. And subsequently, Kenyans will get an opportunity to do business because it means they will create a product, number one, that repayment is good with the common mwananchi. The interest rate also favors that common mwananchi. Those are basically the things that government needs to do. Lakini, I have seen people fighting the issue of borrowing. Let nobody lie to you, and I say this with capital letters. Whichever government comes after August 9th we'll have to borrow to get this country out of, because how do you get to bring those manufacturing and lowering the cost of production if you don't borrow money to invest in those things? So basically, borrowing is not the problem. It is how we use the money we borrow.
But the fact that we keep raising it, then it speaks into the efficiency of debt, because if you're borrowing today, Muchendu, and you have a deficit, kama hiyo unasema uliitwa equity, upewe milioni moja, lakini tena umeenda ile milioni moja unataka tena bado uko na deficit nyingine, unasema uniongezee iko milioni 2 na bado uko na kashimo, unasema uniongezee, utoke sasa equity uende NBK, utoke NBK uende Family Bank. You have a deficit from the loan that you're given, and you keep saying niongeze. Does that not speak? Because if then our debt was efficient, then we could not be raising the debt ceiling, would be comfortable.
The problem is, Bitok, you have gone to Exim Bank in China, you have borrowed 200 billion shillings to come and do an SGR where you did not require the 200 billion shillings to do an SGR in the Republic. Today, Bitok, if I go to Equity and I borrow 1 million shillings and I want to construct a house, it is true that I will go back to Equity to seek for more money, because 1 million shillings is not enough to construct the house, the permanent house I am looking for. And therefore, what I am saying is, even government borrowing must be tailored to affordability. If we want to create, say in Nyandarua, we want to create a road network that allows the people who farm in Nyandarua to get their farming products to the consumer. We ask ourselves, do we need to do a road that is costing us 60 million shillings per kilometer, or can we do a gravel road that would allow this person to bring the products to the highway and subsequently to the supplier, and basically increase the tax net? And in like 4 or 5 years, we will have gotten more money to now build him a permanent road. Today, you realize where I come from. In Deya, we have a road connecting us from a place called Thogoto all the way to Mutarakwa, heading to Maimayu. It is a Class B road. It is a good road. We in Deya, we are now coming up in producing agricultural products. But the question is, until when will government get value for that road? Because I can tell you, no. It is government, because government is the constitution is very clear. A government of the day is representation of the people. Because the Article 1 says that we exercise our authority directly or indirectly. So the government is the people, because it's a representation of the people.
Well put.
So I'm saying, until when do we get value for the money invested in that road? It has costed us almost 2 billion. Has the economy, either through the vehicles that go through the route, through the production of the people who are along the route, does that production give us value for money? Because let me tell you, my brother, you are a business person. Why do you take a loan in a bank?
So that you can enable.
You go, you do business, Bitok, and get profits enough so that you can repay your own with interest
and have something
and
left.
still have something left for your family. Subsequently, even when government is investing in a road or in an SGR, my brother, they should be able to create business environment such that Kenyans are able to give more tax. Government is able to repay their own and be able to maintain the project. And this is the problem, Bitok, you have asked. The government is borrowing and building infrastructure that is not bringing value to its investments.
Okay. Why do you keep raising the debt ceiling if we have fiscal discipline, my brother?
It's a mix of all issues.
Mtoto kama mtoto anakula na anoni na anakula tu, nasema sasa acha apewe dawa ya minyoo ama kuna shida.
But you see, even a business, like when you're growing a business, you need to borrow at some point to finance certain things, like you pay employees, have office staff, equipment like we're having here in the studio. Then if you want to expand, for example, if you want to have a bigger reach, if you want to have a more workforce, if you want to like collect news, now you become a complete newsroom. You might want to borrow more to support that. Okay. Yeah, so as a nation, when we want to do, like if you move around, people are demanding maendeleo. Hata kwetu, if the president comes and I have a chance to talk to him, tamwambia barabara ya hapa, tungependa ikuwe improved. But how does it get improved? Yeah, if we have exhausted the reserves of the cash that we have. So we look into borrowing. And as governor says here, and it's the right thing to do, when we borrow, we have to make sure that we get value for the money that we borrow. Yes. Okay. So there's nothing wrong.
So we're not getting value.
We should not be bogged down by the ceiling, how it is moving. It is the efficiency.
That's what and
sustainability.
That's what
no ceiling lazima ikuwepo so that there's, you might find one day a leader who is elected who really doesn't care, who keeps borrowing.
But do they care? They're raising the way they want.
Yeah, like sometime in Uganda, Idi Amin came and we all know what he did there. So in Kenya we are not saying that such a leader cannot emerge. It can happen. So these safeguards are good.
So how have you stopped them from raising now to 10 trillion? What did you do about it?
About raising the ceiling? No. In fact, my argument is as long as it is sustainable and as long as the borrowing is efficient and it does, your pesa inafanya ile kazi inafanya.
So the question is,
let them raise.
Has it been? Has the 7 trillion?
No, that's the question. Now we have to focus. Now we have to address the issue of corruption. Like a governor is saying, a kilometer of a road is costing 1 billion. I mean, we should look into it. Why is it costing 1 billion? Is it people who are inflating? Then, if they are inflating, how was the tender awarded? Because we know this was not direct procurement. The tender was awarded to the lowest bidder. So now, question is, let me finish my point.
I'm about to finish.
Do we need to review our procurement laws? For example, if the lowest bidder quoted 1 billion per kilometer and they were awarded, and those are laws, everything is legal about it, then we have to step back and even review the laws of tendering. Yeah, exactly.
We in this country called Kenya, we have some of the best laws in Africa and in East Africa, but we throw those laws in the grayer eyes of the government. Like, for instance, the bypass road from Roaka to Getaru. When did you hear National Intelligence Service procuring a road? The procurement process of that particular project was done by NIS. Who is NIS in government? That they have the capacity, the audacity to actually front a tender on behalf of government. These are some of the things, my brother, I am saying we need to look at and understand. I've told you, today we spent 1 billion shillings, is it 2 billion shillings, to repair the gauge railway from Nairobi going all the way to Nanyuki. Has Kenyans gotten value for money? Because the only two things that pry in that route is a passenger train that is almost lacking down everywhere, and the fuel, transporting of fuel into the Nanyuki depot. Nanyuki, I told you about, sometimes back here, I told you about the Nanyuki depot, where this railway, gauge railway that spent money from Kenya Pipeline terminates. It terminates in Kipevu, not Kipevu, in Nanyuki oil terminus. The Nanyuki oil terminus, as I'm talking to you, is already leased to a company, a private oil company that is called Vivo Energy, which the first family has a very serious interest in. Let me tell you, the major problem why this country is in debt, it is something called state capture. That the people leading this country cannot separate self-interests from the interest of this country. It is very clear, it is very true. One of the major things that has affected this nation is the people in government doing business with the same government. And therefore, they will create all manner of contracts. They will quote all manner of contracts that will actually benefit them. And I think basically that is why we have a problem. It is not that Bitok, we are the country with the highest debt in the world. But there is in 2000, the International Monetary Fund, they assess what is called debt risk for any particular republic. And before 2020, the debt risk for this country, they had termed it as moderate. And after 2020, because of the nature of borrowing and how we are spending our money carelessly, they actually elevated our risk level to high. Okay. And we are heading, in this year, they might elevate it to the status of very high. And therefore, they are not assessing the problem with your lending, you getting money from wherever you get it. It is a question of, number one, the people who go negotiate for the loans for this country, do they negotiate those loans to affordable interest? Do we get loans that are expensive more than we can afford? That is the question we need to ask ourselves. Number two is that when they get these loans, do they use it to the maximum and utilize it in a way that it is going to be beneficial to this country? Let me tell you, and this is my fear. In 2000, was it around 2010? I don't know whether you got to use the southern bypass that comes to Kikuyu town. Ishongwa, the Honorable Ishongwa, I remember they had to stage one of the biggest strikes I have known for the designers of that road to be able to create feeder roads that feed into the southern bypass and out of southern bypass. Kikuyu town, as you knew it, was radrocked. That particular southern bypass was not beneficial to Kikuyu town. They had to strike, I remember very well, for the designer to be altered. The designs were altered. This is the thing. You take billions of money borrowed on behalf of Kenyans, you create a project that is not beneficial to the people that it is going through. How are you expected to raise money? Because I will tell you, every loan that we have today, it is paid from the revenue account, the national revenue account. Where does national revenue account get money from? It is the tax you and I pay, companies that are manufacturing and people who are importing pay. And therefore, you have to create opportunities, you have to tailor projects to be able to help Kenyans that are going to be beneficiaries of those projects to make money so that you are able to be able to correct. Today, you have an SGR Bitok. That is going through about, 7-8 kilometers of the SGR goes through Kiambu County. There is no railway stop. There is no place mtu wa Kiambu anaweza. Today you have so many Kiambu factories in Kiambu producing tea and everything. Nobody saw the need to put a station there that these people, butter shoes, will just go down there. It is 11 kilometers from Limuru. Somebody should have put a stop. Butter shoe akichukua viatu, zinadropiwa hapo, zinawekwa, zinaenda Mombasa, zinaenda. That is increasing the money that railway is bringing back to Kenya Revenue Authority. So I'm just saying, the Constitution of Kenya gives the Kenyans, the 2010 Constitution, very progressive. It gives it as an opportunity that there's an element of citizen participation, like in such projects, like the input. But the question is, do we have a proper feedback mechanism? Like you are here in the studio today, you are saying very good things. Are they landing at the correct desk? So now, part of what I'm proposing, even as I'm running for Senate in Nairobi, if given a chance, it is a very well crafted and elaborate feedback system from the citizenry. Wananchi,
through technology, through an application which is on the phone, they are able to air such views and they are collected at a central location.
Inafikia
mheshimiwa. So like if you are in Korogosho, asubuhi ukiamka,
unaenda application.
Ama labda mkulala vizuri, mmevamiwa na wezi, ngeta zimekuwa nyingi mtaani. So if a same issue
unapiga tu ngeta sasa hiyo unaenda kwa application. Ama
fine, exactly. You know, let us not trivialize it. You know, the impact of that. Like if there's a pothole, for example, like what governor here is saying, Kiambu kukuwe na stop mahali. If this thing is logged, and it's an issue which is being raised by 1 or 2, 3 people, it should be able to reach the right people.
Sure.
And we should be able to track this. We should be able to have this one on record. And this is what I'm proposing. As a solution, we must give solutions. We cannot keep talking about, problems. Miaka nenda, miaka rudi. We must look
solutions.
We have to look at solutions. For example, the other day I was riding in a taxi. Ilikuwa ni jana actually. I was being carried to a studio. Na dereva wa taxi aliniambia the issue they have. He was taking me to KBC. So as we were moving through town, through the CBD, he said, one of the issues I have is where can I drop you? And if I drop you, hapo kwa mlango kunaweza kuwa na mtu wa Kanjo. Mtu wa Kanjo ambaye hajulikani hata kama ni wa Kanjo. Anybody. So akishafika hapo, mtu anafungua mlango anaingia ndani na muuliza, is this a drop off point? They are enforcing things which don't exist. So na akaniambia as taxi people, this is a major issue they are facing. And a simple solution which can be proposed for the CBD is drop off points, like 5 or 6. Those taxis which are coming into town is as a specific drop off point. Even border borders in a very orderly manner. If we have specific order of entering and leaving the city, we shouldn't be locking vijana wetu wa boda ati wasiingie CBD. So when we have a feedback system, even as we are discussing here, we should not be romanticizing about these issues and they end.
Okay.
We have to have a very clear feedback mechanism. We hold our leaders accountable, and through the provision in the Constitution of public participation, we have to put it into practice.
Okay. And I think the article on public participation in the Kenyan Constitution 2010, I think it's like a pimple on the Constitution.
That
unwanted bump, because nobody really cares. Even as we're talking about manifestos.
The National Assembly was supposed to
there's something I wanted to
operationalize that particular.
Even as we're talking about manifestos, I wanted to bring it here.
Yes.
Even as we talk about the manifestos, even as these guys unveil their manifestos on Parliament, wanatengeneza manifesto, alafu wanakaa mahali wanatuambia sasa jioni mtu ngoja tuambie ile kitu. Have they spoken to us? They don't know what we really want.
To defend my captain.
Let me then I come back to you.
To defend my captain who is Baba. Raila.
No, I'm talking about everybody.
No. To defend my captain.
Okay.
Because you asked a specific question. Wamesikiza watu.
Yes.
You remember, Baba did a lot of rallies, aliweka tents. They were not rallies. Meetings, let us call them meetings, across all the counties. Ilikuwa inaandikwa kama ni Kisumu alikuwa anasema Azimio la Kisumu. Akifika Mombasa anasema Azimio la Mombasa. Na kulikuwa na vikao pale. He was given memoranda. People participated. And when he was even launching the manifesto at Nyayo Stadium, walisema clearly, this is an input, is a document resulting from the input of the people. So amwezi kusema wanawasa, maybe sijui Kenya Kwanza how they did their thing, or even whether they have a manifesto. But on our side,
wakona ile kitu wanaita muleita aje, what regional charters.
Sasa ndio unasikia wanatembea kusanya. So they are also doing public participation. Let me defend them. Like the other day, so they were somewhere collecting views, led by David Ndi, so in that respect, let us not vilify the political formations.
Muchendu.
Yes.
I think one of the problem is that when the Constitution talks about public participation, if you look at the schedules of the Constitution, the National Assembly and the Senate are supposed to craft Public Participation Act that operationalizes the particular provision of that constitution or order. But the National Assembly has been reluctant into passing that particular law. As of now, we continue to use the judicial jurisprudence as provided by various rulings. I remember, together with a friend of mine called Shuja Karanja in the Limuru business community, we went to court to stop the former governor, the Honorable William Kabogo, from collecting tax in Kiambu. Basically because the county then came up with a Finance Act that did not meet the criteria of public participation. Subsequently, the judge was gracious enough to issue orders to stop the county from collecting revenue. So basically, I would say that we need, how do you then declare and say this has passed through public participation if you do not have a structured way of doing that public participation? And I think majorly that's a problem. As he seeks to go to the Senate, the onus are on the National Assembly and the Senate to craft a public participation bill that actually entrenches the participation of common mwananchi in the constitution. That there has to be a certain threshold to actually declare that this passed through public participation. Because, Bitok, what is happening, if I want to pass something, I will hurriedly call a meeting and say, hold it somewhere. And I will have 1,000 shillings for 1,000 people, and they will sign. And then I will take them, and it will be called public participation. And my brother will not be able to argue it in court because there is no known parameters of really measuring the threshold of public participation. Yes, exactly. But when we craft a bill and an act of parliament that establishes the parameters under which something is qualified to have gone through public participation, then we can be able to address this matter. Today, what the deputy president is doing, or whatever he says that Raila was doing, it is not really structured or it's an ad hoc kind of a thing. You cannot find an excess of the same in the constitution or in the acts of parliament. It's a provision. It's like, I think the two assemblies that has been there, 2013, 2017, 2017 to date, have had the honors of implementing the 2010 constitution, but they have terribly failed to implement. Today, the Honorable President of the IEBC, Chebukati, is actually trying to implement Chapter 6.
The man of the
best
moment.
way he knows how, because there are no provisions on how to implement Chapter 6.
But he's trying.
I'm just saying, but you see now, in this country, my brother, you cannot adjudicate on matters outside a court or outside the parliament. It has to be, if we are going to bar you from vying, it has to be through the constitution or through the acts of parliament. And subsequently, when you look at the provisions of the EACC, the provisions that establishes the penal code that establishes the DCI, do they give them parameters enough to be able to say we are going to bar Bitok because of this and that? So I think basically the parliament, the National Assembly, has terribly failed in being able to enact laws that govern public participation. And you can actually, that is why today you will find that if Kenya Kwanza government wants to succeed, after going through the 47 counties they are going, they will need also to sit with governors candidate of their parties, so that they can, because that president who is giving manifesto, he's going to administer that manifesto in the 47 county governments. For instance, those Azimio people, whatever Raila is saying he is going to do, if he's talked something about water in that manifesto, water is a devolved function. If he has talked about health Health is a devolved function. He has to work with governors. Therefore, all the governors who are in that wing have to make sure that their manifestos are in concurrence with what the Azimio candidate who they support is saying. Same case with Kenya Kwanza. Same case with those people who are running with the Roots Party. They have to align their manifesto with what Professor Wajakoya is proposing. So we have to have a structure that governs public participation. Sitaki huyu aende aita watu na hapa Nyayo Estate watu 1000 aseme alifanya public participation ya Nairobi County akawapatia kila mtu dhao. And you will not dispute it. And let me tell you, this is what they are saying. Do you know what the Constitution says about advertisement and about notices of government project? I can just go into a public website, it doesn't matter which, and I will put an advert there that I will have a meeting in City Hall tomorrow. How many people will go to that website? Very few. So if you go to court, if you go to court and argue that I did not put a public notice, I will show that I put a notice in this website or I put a notice in this newspaper. I can suppose to go and do an advert in the Nairobian.
Good morning. Headphones of that. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Habari ya Nairobi.
Salama sana, wacha kuiba kura.
Hapana, niliacha kuiba kura.
Lakini
wananchi wenyewe wakaamua bado niendelee.
Unatosha mboga.
Unajua unaweza iba mara ya kwanza, mara ya pili upewe. Anyway, I'm going to remind you something.
Okay.
And I won't tell you who say this, but then in the next 6 months, Kamarin Stadium, which is historic, will be complete. I don't know if you remember that poem.
Nakumbuka kidogo ilikuwa shairi ya wapi?
Najua nitakasirisha Muchendu. Anyway, one question that I'll ask you.
Muchendu ako na stadium pale Ndeya. Usisumbue Muchendu.
Kuna kitu moja sijaelewa. I don't know why sisi tunakuanga na manifesto.
Manifesto.
Ama tunakuanga na plan yote. In fact, at times you look at it and you wonder why we even have a constitution.
Yaani kuulize. Uko na kamtu?
Niko na?
Uko na kamtu?
Kuna uwezekano.
Hizo messages unaandikanga zinakuwa za nini? Hiyo ndio manifesto.
Anyway, so you see.
Nakupeleka Dubai na wewe mwenyewe hata hujaipita Man Forest.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Hiyo ndio manifesto sasa.
Inakuwa kama tunakatiwa. Mtu anakuambia atakununulia chopa na yeye mwenyewe ukiona ni kavita anaendesha.
Hata si kavita bwana, anaendesha Mitsubishi.
Ikijidikana unamwambia you aimed for the star ukafikia nini?
Kitu muhimu ni kufika kwa serikali. Endelea ndugu.
Anyway, so you see there's one thing I think Muchendu tuliangalia kitu. He talked about the voting patterns in this country. And they are very obvious that when you remove when Kalonzo joins the group, left anarudi anaenda, that is Ukambani vote coming to Azimio, leaving Azimio, staying around Azimio, going again, then coming back. It is because they are trying to get the Ukambani vote. When DP anajaribu kuleta Musalia and all that, what is he trying to do? He's trying to pull the Western vote towards him. So that means that, in fact, first of all, even in fact, as a DP says, I launch manifesto as he launched. Somehow we know that Rift Valley watampatia kura, whether he's going to do it or not. And so even the way they do their manifesto, the way they do now their public participation, you notice that Senate hapo wamesema waliweka tent wakasema Azimio la Kisumu. Si kuona Azimio la Eldoret. I get what I'm trying to tell you. You go where you know kutakuwa na return on investment. So this is it basically.
Usimwage investment bure. Yani you're going to preach inaitwa preaching to the converted. Unafanya crusade pale kwa kina Yesu Jerusalem hapo kwa kona.
So you see, what you are doing is anyway, mtu anataka return on investment. You cannot see DP anaenda Kisumu anasema ati Kisumu Development Forum and economic blocks. Yeah, no, there's nothing like that happened. Anyway, now this is the point that we've left. That first of all, leadership positions, especially those that are elective, imefika wakati ambapo those are the ones that can give you what you want. Somebody says that nobody in the world makes a lot of money through politics. It's just that they steal a lot of money through politics. So it reaches a point whereby as long as kuna mwanya ya kuingia bunge, somebody will try to get into parliament and or any other position. Hata ukiangalia saizi ya MCA huku kwetu, you find that there is a ward that has 18 people contesting for the same seat.
Kwanza kwenu kama hamuna MCA, you need to call yourself Mujiombe. Kama hamuna aspirant wa MCA, yes. 12 families be prayed for.
And you look at them, they have failed terribly hata kwa familia peke yake. Yani hata within the setup, they say that the first political office is a family, and you find somebody who terribly failed. But at the end of it all, we'll still give them the post because of their oratory prowess or any other thing, or because the family is good. And some people, huku kwetu tunapiganga hata hata tunapiga picha tu. Na hiyo ni mrembo.
Unaona post unasema kaka kabaya.
Then when we come now to talk about public participation, public participation, I don't know why you don't want to talk about it at the national level. Let's talk about it at the county level. Because you see, kuna mtu kama nimewatch hizi, okay, na mimi unajua sinanga msimamo wa niseme wewe ni baba ama ni nani. I'll just tell you as it is. I've seen, you see, Gerald, there was a time tulikuwa kitu inaitwa industrial revolution. I would want to use the Moi times as a good example of industrial revolution. Enye walimu walikuwa naendanga town kuchukua mshahara, alafu wanarudi wanatuambia kumbe baba Moi alisema juzi ya kwamba, you know, nowadays we have social media and you can get it very fast. You know, manifesto ya Raila ingefika kwa kwetu after 2 weeks ingekuwa 90. But right now information moves very fast. It will shock me that up to now you still find wakifanya manifesto yao, they'll still, you see, we are doing public participation as if the president is coming to do everything, and we forget that we have a constitution that is being implemented majorly at the county level. It depends on the governor you will get. It depends on the MCA you will get. Yet nobody questions the MCA as long as they are paying allegiance to the principal who is favored within that geographical location. So if it is in Rift Valley, you don't need a manifesto as a governor. No. You just need a good song. And then people can dance well. And then the public participation ya nini. You see? And then immediately they get power. There's one thing with power, which I've noticed with Africans. So Africans celebrate power a lot. So even if a governor comes somewhere and just smiles, people clap. That is it. People don't care.
That is what I want to do when I become governor.
So that is it. Yeah, so anyway, just to kumaliza kitu nasema is that, I think karibu wakati inafika. And people, I think I think it's almost time that people sasa tuanze kuunda policies henye hazitegemei wanasiasa. Because if you are going to depend on the politicians and politics, I can tell you for free, because from where I am also, naweza angalia who is vying and who is not, and who nani amepita hii elections, especially ya UDA, because I'm in Eldoret. You'll go to Nyanza, utataka kujua na alipita ya, especially Kisumu, na alipita ya ODM and all that. I'm telling you the truth that the 10th parliament was stronger than the 11th parliament. The 11th parliament inaenda ikipungua kwa nguvu. So by the time we're in the 14th parliament, we'll just be having jokers in parliament. Because even right now, I'm looking at the quality of the people we are electing this year. They are poor in terms of skill, in terms of reasoning, in terms of IQ. They are much lower and poorer than those we elected 5 years ago. And I'm telling you, even 5 years to come, we'll be electing more yokels to parliament. And more wakora wengi just na elect. You get what I'm trying to tell you? So I think it's time now we start thinking of alternative methods, because these elective positions, they are just being something else. One funny thing we talk is when you elect somebody to parliament, I don't know, somehow it is also the politicians who decide nani that ahead parastatals. It is them who decide nani that atakuwa sijui principal wa shule gani. Somehow, yes, not through the law, but somehow they are the ones to decide. So that means that once you've elected a sick person to parliament, then you expect a lot of sick things to happen within the country. And I'm just trying to say that it is time now we start thinking of alternative methods. Judiciary ilikuwa imeanza kutupea hope kidogo. I don't talk about it much, but I saw somebody promising people things that are impossible. The CJ, juzi. That tells you something that also, kama hii judiciary yenye ilikuwa imeanza kuwa sadia, somehow we may lose it at some point. I get what I'm trying to say. So anyway, discussion nzuri, ambia Senator, we wish him all the best, and Gerald, mkuwe na siku njema.
Nilikuwa nataka kusema Gerald mkule lunch. Nimengoja sana with battered bread. Unaongelea hapa na governor.
Wewe hii kiti yako ya mnanda haikuangi na allowance?
Ndio anakula. Unajua sasa huyu jamaa akiambiwa nunue ile nini Triatix ile ng'ombe ananunua kadogo anajaza maji.
Bure kabisa.
Sasa anakuwa na kitu juu.
Bure kabisa.
Sasa hata tugawe bwana.
You see, Gerald, kitu Muchendu ajui kuhusu meno kwisha. You see, meno kwisha tunaangalianga the number of animals you have for us to vote for you. We don't look at the quality. The animals that produce 2 liters.
Have you just cast aspersions on your quality?
Lakini badilisha maji chama. Nasikia maji imeanza kuwa na matope sana. Ng'ombe inatoka ni kama ilikuwa imeenda swimming kwa matope. Tafadhali badilisha maji chama. Hata kama unakula pesa ya dip, badilisha maji.
Wananchi bado wananipenda. Wananchi hawajalalamika bana.
Haya tuonane, nitakuwa mtaa. Tutatafutana weekend.
Okay, sawa.
Asante bana. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Ni wangona hapo unasikia wewe ni chama na umenokwisha kettle dip na kula pesa ya dip. Ukiambiwa kama anafaa anunue 1 liter ya dawa ya kupe ananunua half a liter
anaongeza maji
anajaza maji na kwa. So finally guys, finally gentlemen, on the issues of coalitions, you're seeing coalitions that have been formed right now, and it looks like the more we move forward to Kenyan politics, the more it's more difficult to mobilize politics within parties alone. William Ruto tried it, alikuja siku ile akasema we are not doing any coalitions. Sisi kama UDA we are going it alone. Saizi yako na kitu inaitwa Kenya Kwanza ambayo inakuwa ratified. Raila Odinga with this strong ODM that has been alive all this time, he has only kept himself alive through coalitions. NASA, CORD, talk about these coalitions. And the question is, we've had this discussion with Muchendu for a very long time. Will he ever get in this country to a point whereby we can have parties that have an ideology? That I can stick to a party and say, I'm dying with this because it carries an ideology that relates with me and I can fight with it. Now, coalitions, we've seen the formations and the collapse of coalitions. Do you think they are viable in Kenyan political space? Senator Bill.
The reality of politics of Kenya is that we have to play it through coalitions. And anybody who tries to go it alone, definitely utapelekwa kichinjio peke yako. And you can't go far. As you rightly put it, DP tried it, na ikakuwa ngumu. Raila has been a master of coalition building. And consistently, there was NASA, or there was CORD. Before NASA, there was CORD. NASA came, it went. You saw even the Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka tried to, and Gideon and others, Mother Karua, they came together under Oka. And my party leader, Gideon Moi, finally morphing into Azimio. So that's the reality of our politics today. But what will ultimately decide as to whether they become viable or not is the honesty with which the parties treat each other. Parties have to be very honest, other than the quest for power. The aim of building a coalition is to capture power. They should go beyond that. They try to harmonize their manifestos. They try to harmonize what they stand for. So that at the end of the day, we have these strong coalition parties. Like Azimio, One Kenya coalition party, it is a registered political party. It's not just a coalition of parties like Kenya Kwanza. Kenya Kwanza is not a party. Okay. So this Azimio party is led or is governed using the regulations of political parties and as a pertain to a fully fledged political party. Okay. So in the future, we are hoping that as a country, we should be able to take coalitions seriously. And if possible, from time to time, we can even merge some of these political parties if the interests so allow. But more fundamentally, we are a democracy. And a democracy which does not limit the number of political parties which can play within the political space. We are we are governed by Bill of Rights, rights of association. You know, you can associate with any political fitting that you like.
Okay.
Yeah, so we only hope that as a country, we stick to the agenda of serving the people. Yeah.
Okay. Muchendu, coalition parties.
I think
I
have addressed this issue quite a number of times here. And one is that this nation is made up of over 40 tribes. And there is no single tribe in this country or ethnic race that is a majority. The Kikuyus are they are reading in numbers, but they are not the majority in this country. They are what I would refer to as significant minority. They are followed by the Luhyas, who are also significant minorities. And this country being made up of all these ethnicity communities, you have to find a place where they coexist. And subsequently, there is no single party in this country that can actually rule this country as of yet. We have not gotten to that party maturity level where people do not see UDA as they see UDA as a, in quotes, a party from a certain corner. They see ODM as a party from a certain corner. This is the problem with the country. Come try and buy in an ODM ticket in Central. Let's see how you will get it. That is the reality of life in this country. And that then means, look at the people who are in coalition with Raila Odinga in Central. There is no single person who has dared to join ODM. They have decided we want to come to it as members of a party that is recognized in the mountain. That is the reality of our politics. And I told you here one time, if you remember, that even as much as the DP is saying he is going to go it alone, he was just not going to entertain the nonsense of coalition at that time. But I told you somewhere in future, he will have to seek coalitions with a number of parties to be able to clinch the election in this country. So therefore, coalitions will be there. And it is not a mistake to have coalitions be talk. Today, our first world nation like Germany, it is ruled by coalition parties. A nation like UK, the Conservatives or the Labour Party, they join hands with parties that are ascribed to their aspirations, and they are able to build a coalition. Look at the Republican in the US talk. It is a national party, but it has so many functions within it. One of them, it is the Tea Party, the Conservatives. They are part of the so-called Republican Party. They get the biggest number of shares within the Republican Party. Go to the Democratic Party. The Liberal Democrats are the people. It's a function within the party that is leading. So I think basically what we will need to do is until such a time we can deal with the ethnicity issues and take away the negativity that comes along with being clustered with a certain ethnicity, I think that is the only time we would be able to actually get there. I once thought that we'll get there because 1997, the Honorable George Nyanja, the former MP for Limuru, was rocked out of all the favorable political parties in central Kenya. And he had no alternative than to go to his neighbor's party called the NDP. Tinga Tinga. People, that is where the Tinga Tinga came from. And the Honorable Nyanja happens to be a neighbor of the right Honorable Prime Minister. And he had to come to Limuru with Tinga Tinga to ask them to vote him back because he had been elected with Foda Sivi into 1992. And people overlooked that party and they elected him. and he became the member of parliament for the second term. I thought that we had come to that point where people overlook who is the leader of that party, but unfortunately the reality of life is that we have hatujafika hapo. We have to coexist through coalitions, and we have just passed the Political Parties Act last year that addresses the issues of coalitions and how coalitions are supposed to be done. Today, the Democratic Party is in court because the Registrar of Political Party did not okay their agreement with Kenya Kwanza. Because we have a structured way of doing political parties, and I would tell him it is an opportunity. It is the coalition that chooses how you want to put your coalition. You people, through the president, you have registered as Azimio as a coalition party, which is now provision that is provided for in the new Political Parties Act. We have chosen to have a coalition that is on an agreement to work together and form government together, not form a coalition party. It is the reason why Raila could not run on ODM. And basically that was the design intended by those who created that coalition. So it is about of what kind of a coalition does one side decide to be, and the other one decides to be this. Those are provisions within the Constitution of Kenya. So I think coalition politics is not going away. It's not going away anytime soon. And there is no single particular party, unless a miracle happens, that would win this particular election.
Okay, what are you saying, Senator?
Monda, I was just adding to what you're saying. The coalition situation is going to persist, and it's not a bad thing to have as a country.
So tukua na coalitions bado. Acha niangalie gazeti mbio. Sasa gazeti tu mbio, Douglas, very quickly. Kwanza nani yako na yake hapo tayari. Haya, tuanze na gazeti gani? Tuanze na The Standard. Inasema NIS secrets Ruto takes on Kibicho. UDA wants NIS complaints board to probe interior PS Karanja Kibicho for abuse of national intelligence to advance partisan political agenda. The PS was quoted claiming that NIS report showed Azimio Umoja real candidate would secure a 60% first round win in August poll. While PM Mr. President rest down to 4. Take your pick. Mimi niko hapa kwa puff pass. Puff pass. Pombo clan. Mitumba thread, the good, the bad and the ugly. Blame game over dollar shortage. By the way, companies zinafunga kazi. Right now, by the way, there's something you should not try or even think about is buying anything from outside that you have to buy using dollars. Forget about it. Daily Nation, Ruto Raila power sharing. Au majamaa kona shida kubwa zaidi. I don't know why they have put those guys in black and white. The ones who are looking for composition, they are black and white. Anyway, so on both sides, looks like they're very big headed on how to share the positions in government. On Raila side, the faces they chose for Raila and Ruto. Ana Kalonzo Paranya kwa hapo, Munya yuko hapo, Sabina Chege yuko, Governor Joe 001. Upande mwingine pia naona unaongona pale kina Muturi mzuri Musale Mudavadi, Waiguru, Alfred Mutua. Anyway, Charles Kater, nangine pia Kitonyi growing up with Moi. Story ya Kitonyi hapo of growing up with Moi. Day of drama as Aspirant sick IBC nod. IBC by the way imeamua kuwa kichwa ngumu. Gavana Sonko jana alikaa mpaka saa 4 usiku pale Mombasa IBC offices, lakini bado there was no reprieve. Amekanyagiwa amefanyiwa ile kitu. Kwa hivyo Sonko mambo nisage mnega kidogo, itabidi amejaribu tena mahali pengine. Haya, Taifa Leo. Taifa Leo nasema hadi za kuandaa. Hapo wameanza na mambo ya msimu wa ugombea viti vya kisiasa kwenye uchaguzi mkuu wa Agosti 9. Kutoa manifesto zao umewadhia, ambapo wanaahidi vitamu watakavyowapa wa Kenya iwapo watachaguliwa. Lakini historia ya utawala wa Jubilee yaonyesha hizi ni ahadi tu za kushawishi kura, lakini ni mara wanapoingia madarakani watatenda kinyume na walivyoahidi kufanya. Ndio nimesema ya kwamba hii mambo ya manifesto clearly it's just a romantic letter to keep you to keep you mesmerized. Haya, chagizo la kilimo na biashara pale, polisi zaidi kufurika Meru. Meru pale na Isiolo kuna shida ya usalama kidogo, watu wa Isiolo na Meru wanapigana. Waiguru waponea chupu-chupu. Niliona pia Sakaja aliponea chupu-chupu jana. Chupu-chupu imekuwa mingi jana. Malala pia anapumua pale. Jana he survived the IBC thresher. Asa mwaniaji wa Kirinyaga na wengine 3 wapata tikiti lala kipindi ya lala salama. Washirika wa Raila wampa shinikizo kinara wa Azimio kuwa na wakati mgumu kurudisha wanasiasa muungano. Kuridishia wanasiasa muungano. Kuna mambo kidogo. The Star Raila's pledges to cost 400 billion annually. Allah? Okay. Criticism, DP allies tear into the blueprint, terming it hot air and unrealistic. Kanini Kiaga says the agenda is viable given Kenya loses billions every year to corruption. Some 2 billion. Ruto's UDA rights to NIS after Kibicho claimed Raila this by 60%. Police zaidi kufurika Taifa leo. Parental fights turn children into bullies, says Ministry of Health. Okay. Kama kuna nyingine hapo kwenye gazeti yote. Haya, tukimaliza utatuambia Kiambu kuna kaja pale gavana. Nimeona kuna governors, hakuna county kuna gubernatorial aspirants kama kwenu. Now they all come from one coalition. Interesting.
You know, Kiambu is, they are saying now it is a certified en-suite bedroom for Nairobi. And the economy, it's probably of the top 5 economies, county economies in Kenya. And that would actually put Kiambu in a place where everybody wants to become the governor and control the resources. You have the current governor, who, by the way, I would keep insisting was not the choice of the people. He's a beneficiary of Waitito's misery. And he's now seeking the official mandate from the public. You have the CCK party leader, candidate Moses Kuria. You have the Tujibebe party leader, William Kabogo. You have Jangu, who is an independent candidate, and Mwenda Gatabaki, the wife of David D, is also a candidate in the general election for the candidature of governor in Kiambu. And you have the UDA candidate Wamatangi, Kimani Wamatangi, who is Wamatang. And I think basically that is the overall of the race in Kiambu. Unfortunately, if you ask me, the current governor is on his way out. Kabogo will have to face the handles that actually got him sent home. And let me tell you, you would have to ask yourself, what is this you did so bad that people hated you so much so that they replaced you with Waitito? You would have to ask yourself that question. It's basically the truth. You go to CCK candidate who used to be my party leader at some point, and then he decided to milk money from CCK candidates, and his popularity just went down, and he almost took with him our personal character down the drain. Some of us had to run before our characters were immersed in that drain of terrible actions by the party leader. And having gone through Kiambu, the 12 sub-counties in Kiambu and the 6 wards in Kiambu, I still believe that the UDA candidate, the Honorable Amatangi, is still leading in that race. He's the only governor who comes into the race without a scandal into his name. He has been a senator for this county for 10 years. He basically, a senator, you are not given money to do projects. Your role is just to go out there and shout. And yes? no opportunity to have a scandal.
No opportunity to have a scandal.
You can invent opportunity.
If he puts it, so he comes in with an understanding of the county, having been a senator for 10 years, and I think that on this one, UDA got it right, and we look forward to having Kimani Wamatangi as the governor of Kiambu. We see what he is also going to do. He has been a senator for 10 years. His job has been his job has been Kiambu. I've been asked about Kiambu by the host. I am giving my opinion that I give it independently.
That is good.
So I think in my own submission,
we people of Kiambu are looking forward.
No. I am speaking. I don't speak. I will vote alone in that booth. So I give my own.
Said I am looking forward.
Yes, I am looking. No. I will say that because Wamatangi will vote for himself, and if I vote for him, that will be addressed in plural form. So we are looking forward to have Kimani Wamatangi as the governor.
Yes.
I want to believe that the stay in Senate for 10 years, as most senatorial candidates are now vying for governor, it is enough to give them experience. He has been shouting out there how the other governors have been misusing funds, which is true. It is now his opportunity to come and demonstrate what is it that he could do differently. So I basically believe that in Kiambu, politics are mixed. Like in my constituency, unless something drastic changes, the Jubilee candidate is going to win. That is what the ground is saying.
The Jubilee candidate?
Yes, the current member of parliament called the Honorable Peter Muchendu. I am a UDA person, but the facts on the ground are very difficult when you do not engage people.
Which is a good thing. Now it means people are no longer electing parties.
This is what I'm thinking.
They're electing individuals.
I would say it's a good thing in a way, because all politics is wrong. So let's see what happens.
Asante Muchendu. Haya, Senator. Omba kura bwana.
Watu wa Nairobi. Watu wa Kanairo. Naitwa John Ochoti na naomba kura yenu niweze kuwawakilisha. Leo tumeshinda tukidiscuss manifesto, pia mimi niko na manifesto yangu. Niko na my areas of priority za kuangazia mambo kama kina mama, vijana, people with disabilities. We look at how they can be empowered. In terms of even creating markets. Nimetembea around kina mama wanataka tu mahali wafanyie biashara ya sokoni. Taxes tuangalie kidogo, si lazima walipe hiyo gharama kuu. Kila wakati wanaitishwa hizo taxes. Tuangalie maneno kama affordable healthcare, ambao ni reliable, which is close to mwananchi. President has tried, but then we can build on that, do more. We have more qualified doctors. We have more facilities in our neighborhood. We look at maternal healthcare services, which is a big issue in our neighborhoods. There's also another issue of mental health. Mental health is ineffective vijana sana. The guys are being depressed, and the primary source mostly is the economic situation in the city, which we have to look to change. Vijana sasa wanaingilia mambo ya drugs, criminal activities. We have to enact laws which favor this group of people to be able to sustain themselves economically. Mambo ya education, pia tuweze kuangalia. We increase the infrastructure. Classrooms, unaona they are being crowded. Class ambayo inafaa kushikilia wanafunzi kama 40, unapata they are like 180 students or people. It's very sad. So we have to reprioritize where we are allocating our resources. We personally, this is what I'm committed to reallocate resources. We also look at maji. Watu wapate maji mtaani, haijalishi mahali unaishi, kama ni Karen, Langata, wapi Kamkunji, Ikwe Mukuru, Kayaba, Wanjenga, pipeline. We should be able to, have water infrastructure improved. So pia tuangalie mambo ya housing. Hakuna sio kila mtu anapenda kuishi kwa slum forever.
That's true.
So we have to look at this issue and support it through law under devolution, so that we live in dignity and I hope for the future. And there's one specific thing, like I've looked at the CBD under transport. watu wa mataxi. We can redesign our CBD so that we can have drop-off and pick-up points, so that there is no harassment. Hawa watu wa taxi wanaharasiwa sana na makanjo. Na watu wengine hata is a security threat because you are not even sure ni watu wa kanjo because they don't come identified. Na wana uniform. So these are things we can be able to look at and address. Even border. They are doing deliveries in and out of the city. They have been doing, but now they have been bad. Ni vijana wetu hapa wanatafuta ajira. So we should give them an opportunity to even enter the CBD and serve the CBD in a structured manner. So watu wa Nairobi, na waomba munishike mkono. Nimejitolea na niko na imani. As we walk through this journey, we should be able to agree and have a social contract that I serve you as your senator for the next 5 years. Santeni.
Haya. Sasa masikia mambo ya senator. So hata mimi na wewe Muchendu anasema yeye na Wamatangi. So mimi na wewe we are looking forward to it.
Yes, thank you very much.
By the way, Bitok, it's always good to appreciate when people come to your page and they say you say hi to them.
Yes.
Ajua hawakukuta ile nusu ya kuonana ile salamu ilikuwa.
Nani amesema asaliwe?
Kuna Josephine Njeri, who is a former nominated MCA in Kiambu County Assembly, amesema asalimiwe mitamboni. Josephine, nimekusalimia. Kuna kasichana kengine hapa kanaitwa Wanjiko Thega.
Kasichana ama msichana?
Nimesema kasichana at the cost of being brought a suit. Kana kasichana kanaitwa Wanjiko Thega, anasimama kule Theta Ward in Juja constituency Kiambu. Amesema she's standing. Amesema governor, salamu zifikie watu wa Theta. Nimefikisha and we wish you well.
Na kwani watu wanasalimange mimi? Kwani mimi si mtoto wa watu?
Sasa unajua unaonanga wakikusalimia unaanza kusema wakununulie coffee. Wengine hawajui.
Wale
Arama bwana.
Arama kusalimia chama.
Chairman umesema tu hii mwaka tu nikula tu salamu.
Ongelesha chairman pole. Unajua anaweza cheza na wewe. Anaweza cheza na wewe.
Unajua leo ni wiki.
Na Doro pia ameingia nyasi.
Ile siku sio yangi.
Kwanza kuna mwingine anaitwa Keja Graphics. Wewe umesikia Keja kweli ama unasikia? Unasikia Keja wa diaspora.
Ako wapi?
Shauri yako.
Diaspora gani?
Wewe uliza.
Na hii mtu mwingine Australia.
Nani ambassador? Ambassador alikuwa Kenya. Alikuja
akapiga na yeye alipofika kule akaniambia amechoka sana. Na kuna hii mama nyingine hii mlembo nyingine alikuwa juzi Kenya andoka.
Nani Doro?
Doro alisema ni mama, sio mimi nimesema, ni yeye alisema.
Unaenda ndo kama
Doro alikuja tu akajificha hivi tu alafu akarudi na hakuongea na sisi.
Hapana, sasa nasikia ulikula kitu.
Nani? Wewe mimi kitu ya Doro sijakula.
Kitu ya pesa, Muchendu. Nimesema pesa.
No, I am not responsible for your interpretation.
Haya, watu wa diaspora asanteni sana. Mambo ya Muchendu muachane. Ni wana Muchendu anataka kuharibu.
And I will repeat. I am not responsible for your interpretation.
But you see, essence of communication is not what you say. It is how it is received.
But you know,
that is communication.
If people want to receive it in a pervert nature, why should I be responsible?
Manisha they are not sent. So if you have interpreted this differently, then you need Jesus. Amesema hajakula pesa ya Doro. Tell Muchendu in Murang'a there is an ODM aspirant running for a senator seat. Okay, Samuel Nyongesa.
The question is, are they going, because getting to run with ODM, you just need the IBC to clear you. But the question I am saying is, have we gotten beyond the place where we can overlook who is the chairman of ODM and elect the senator or whoever here because of the characters of that particular individual?
Kama sisi Kano tunapewa Ochoti. Those are during the variation. Tunatigiza kidole. Haya, tunatigiza kidole. Haya, those are some during the variation of public debt ceiling. One MP from Siasa County say that he will vote for variation of the debt ceiling until his constituency gets a share of the debt. Unasema yani tuongeza mpaka ifike kwetu. Haya. Corruption must be devolved. Someone nyongeza sema to my understanding of second hand is different from what people know. It is the product of less quality out of the first class. Should I say that these factories will only produce first class? Okay. Swala nyeti. Fredrick Juma tell Muchendu ayana Mamuranga. Is that guy called Pius? No, it's not called Pius. It's called Peter. Peter Muchendu. Peter. Fredrick Juma Shadrack, yes, that's the guy. Just as anasema peana zetu salamu from Texas. We want to hear your words so we can make informed decisions. Thank you so much, my brother Justus. Sisi hao tazungumza pole pole. As we speak, we're going to shape the narrative of this country. John Burugu anasema watching from Meru. Shidanet uko ni wapi sasa? Haya, okay. Haya. I also want to remind you, pale Optiven tunapeana shamba ya bure bwerere. Pale Optiven, the only thing you need to do is to dance. Can you imagine it? Pale Optiven tunapeana shamba ya bure. Alafu naeka free. The only thing you have to do is to dance. Can you imagine, Senator? Yani hili tunapeana shamba bure ili kitafaa utufanye ndo.
Hata mimi tukitoka hapa studio
kama ni bure ni wapi dance kidogo.
Unataka shamba? Unataka shamba Muchendu? Sakata kidogo.
Ni sakata kidogo. Shamba, opuna shamba. Unajua there's a joke that goes and I at least I know Optiven is not like that. Ati wanasemanga mgoda ni title. As in shamba ni kubwa na title deed. Wewe ukikuta maji change the river direction, ukifika huko ukikuta mawe you know that there's bora tu uko na title.
Hata watu walisema unasongesha shamba.
Utasongesha wewe
kama river
ukisongesha mambo ujipange pale uko na title.
So Senator, unajua Senator unataka shamba. Unaweza kama muziki.
Yaani sawa eka.
Unaweza muziki.
Eka muziki, eka mapiano tucheze kidogo.
Hatuna shamba South Africa.
Mtu wa mapiano.
Unataka mapiano ama unataka
Mapiano dance ya kisasa.
Mapiano sio music ya nini?
Kuna ingine inaitwa
music ya mtaa.
Kuna ingine inaitwa
ukienda kule wale
unajua ni uptown.
Najua ni uptown. Hapana, Nairobi voters wengi si uptown.
Nasema mapiano ni
dance. Sasa vijana wana dance.
Voters wengi ni wale watu unasikia siku hizi wanaongea na shembeteng. Amesema imetoka Kayombo Tole.
Nasema unataka kashamba tonge.
Shamba tonge. Ukitoka unaambia wife na kulombo tonge. Hii Kenya si havi bro.
Na yeye ndo beautiful language. Sasa nataka tutasemaje? Takolo tonge. Itakuwaje sasa? Haya basi inakwaje? Nataka hiyo flyer dance challenge ya Optiven. Si kama iko tayari. Kuna flyer hapo ya dance challenge. Steve.
It's a good one because
fly hapo ya dance
most
challenge.
high-end people don't know how to dance. Wale watu wa
and by the way, there's something that Optiven has done today, which is very interesting.
They have not sent me, but if they give you something you sent to me, the first time I heard about Optiven was in a radio station called Hope FM. And I looked into it, and you realize that one of the things you need to look in the directorship of land companies is the morals of those people who read it. And I saw some of the people who read Optiven and where they fellowship and they are whatever, because it is basically about character.
Yes.
Do you trust in the character that is selling you that land? If you do, then you
means you can trust the process.
It means you can trust those people. I have before you. I have always had. I'm a fan of Hope FM. I've always had them at Hope FM, and I felt that Hope FM is owned by a very strong Christian organization that is looking out for the name. And I believed that if I get something out of Optiven and somebody wanted to play with the brand, I have a place where I can be able to see who are reading it and trust. Because nowadays, kuna ukora mwingi sana kwa wakati wa shamba. Watu wenye wanalia. Yuzi mama fulani ameuziwa shamba kwetu akakuja akakuta shamba iko kwa mlima akaangukia hapo. So it's about brand. Who are these people? What is their background? Can you trust them? And I think Optiven, for the years, because they are not an yesterday
They've been here for 26 years.
They have been here for so many years, you have not had a particular scandal.
Yeah.
Sasa bill
watu wanunue shamba. Haya. Seneta watu wanunue shamba. Unajua about land. You can never buy tomorrow.
Nimesikia ni affordable.
Imagine.
Pole.
Wewe kwanza seneta utataka kuwa na holiday home.
Of course.
Yeye zile umepigwa na stress ya Nairobi hapa.
Normally kukutana na wananchi
unasumbuliwa sana. Unajua pia mheshimiwa unahitaji kwenda ku breathe kidogo. Ndio kidogo unaweza kazi. So weekend unapiga road trip unaenda kwako pale na Nyuki.
Kabisa.
Overlooking the Mount Kenya and the Aberdare ranges.
Mlisema ni ngapi ni dance?
Imagine mheshimiwa plot ya 1/8 349,000 peke yake.
That is good.
Sio ni pesa safi.
That is good.
Wewe unachukua mbili ndio nyingine iko ya balcony. Unajua wewe ni Jaluo. Kwa nyingine inakuwa balcony. Haya ndio hivyo sasa hivyo land, lakini kama pia utaki kutumia pesa and you can dance tukwekee wage kinyundo. Alafu
chua kinyundo.
Yana chua kinyundo.
Haya.
Upate shamba. Today you are brave in the gutters. All right, so that is it. Dance challenge, Optiven dance challenge. That is it with you. You can get half an acre of land for free. Ukianza kupiga dance yako pale na Optiven, please register with them. Tuma video yako pale 0790300300. Ukipiga dance ama sign up your best dance group ama jamaa unajua ambao unajua na kusakata. Kwanza tunakuwekea. Nimesikia nyingine ya nani inaitwa next week tutakuja nikuwekea ngoma. Next week. Ya Miracle Baby na Karoka True. Unasikia? Tutaonana next week and see you tomorrow on Diaspora Edition. Not what Diaspora kinajua la rama watakuwa hapa. Lakini make sure that by today you're going to sign up for the Optiven Dance Challenge. Unaweza ponyoka na have an acre of a plot. Can you imagine that? SMS plot 22355. Ama upige simu 0790300300. Waambie nimekutuma. Ukisema nimekutuma, you get up to 6 months flexible payment terms. Na pia unajua tulikuwa na story nyingine juzi, ukilipa tunakurudisha 10 ya kupanguza jasho. Can you imagine? Kimbia pale Optiven. This is a tackle and it ends right now. See you again tomorrow on the Diaspora Edition. Bye bye.